Hey, this is Doug Schnitzbein. Welcome to the morning show. We are a live stream TV show broadcast on the backcountry.com Facebook page as well as Columbia's Tumblr page. We'd like to thank our sponsors, Columbia and backcountry.com, for getting us here, as well as Solomon for hosting us in their new store at the City Creek Mall in downtown Salt Lake City. And we're here at the Outdoor Retailer Show, which is one of the biggest collections of outdoor manufacturers and gear and athletes and freaks that you will ever find in the world, and we're going to give you an inside look on that. Our first guest today is everything in the outdoor world. His name is Renan Ozturk, and he is a world-class mountaineer, climber, as well as a filmmaker and an artist. And he works with the Camp 4 Collective along with Jimmy Chin, who we introduced you to yesterday, as well as his own artwork on Rock Monkey Art. Renan, tell us a little bit about what you do.
I'm basically a climber. I lived on the road through the desert Southwest for a long time doing artwork, and eventually that melded into telling video stories, and then over the last probably 6 or 7 years I've been doing expeditions with the North Face, and then through that expedition lifestyle, Camp 4 Collective was born, which initially was doing work mostly for the North Face with Jimmy and Tim Kemple. We actually have a studio that's just a few minutes from the Salt Palace, and so we've been doing a lot of expedition storytelling for them first off, and then now we're kind of branching out and doing other stories for Nat Geo and other clients, even like a little more into the commercial world. Jimmy did a big project in Baffin Island, ski base jumping, and yeah, we've been having a good time just working with friends, trying to tell stories and bring it to brands within the outdoor industry, and also hopefully a little bit more in the mainstream, but also giving the mainstream like a real look at these different activities that we've done for so long and our hearts are in.
Sure, yeah. And what's a bit of the philosophy of Camp 4 Collective? Like, you guys aren't doing the usual climbing porn, or just like, here we are, we're going to climb this mountain. There's a lot more art involved and a lot more thought and storytelling involved, right?
Yeah, no, there's definitely, we love the visual aspects. I think it's amazing the potential you have these days with all the cameras. It's cool to go to the spot in Himalaya and capture that, but then also there's a story element to a lot of these trips of the characters that you can like kind of dig into it a lot even before you leave. There's usually, everyone has a story. We just like to bring it out for each one of these people, whether it's an athlete or a group of athletes, or a place that has a cause that you're traveling to.
Sure. And you, along with Jimmy, we talked to him yesterday, just did a big trip, Shark Spinner Maru, possibly one of the hardest climbs on the planet that had never been done before. And right before that climb, you were injured pretty badly?
Yeah, it was a big project. It was Conrad Anker's dream climb, his kind of life project that he's been working on for a long time. His mentor, Mud Stump, tried it a number of times, and I was lucky enough to be on the team with those guys. And then 6 months before the accident, 6 months before going on the trip, I was in a big accident where I crushed my skull, broke 2 vertebrae in my neck, and severed a vertebral artery where I lost half the blood supply to my brain. So it was like a really serious accident. And through it all, like both Jimmy and Conrad never really pushed me to go back.
Right.
I kind of had to train on my own volition, and yeah, it was. There was a lot of questions going back, and we kind of all trusted each other, and yeah, eventually pulled it off. So it was quite the adventure. I don't think I'll ever do a climb like that in my lifetime, and hopefully we'll never have to go through an accident recovery process like that again.
Now, I mean, we're laughing about it, but that's an amazingly serious accident. So what was it that helped you to recover so fast? So fast that you surprised those guys, right? They thought the trip was going to have to be canceled. Everyone thought you were going to take a lot longer in recovery.
Yeah, there's a number of things. I was diligent about getting body work. I had people taking my neck brace off before I was really authorized to do that, and doing some soft tissue touch where they're bringing blood to the area. I couldn't move or do anything, so I just ride a recumbent stationary exercise bike all day long, and that was not very glamorous, but I think it helped a lot, just getting that cardio fitness back, because we were going to the Himalaya, going to altitude, climbing a big wall. We were just hauling loads and doing this manual labor all day long, so all those little things added up, I guess, and it wasn't without incident.
Right.
I had a little episode where we thought it might be over.
You had, like, they thought it was a stroke or something, is what I read, or they didn't know what was going on with you for a night?
Yeah, they thought it was a stroke. We still don't know what it was to this day.
And that was in the middle of one of the hardest parts of the climb.
That was at the end of the first day, which was a really long day, where we climbed what we had climbed in 5 days in 1 day. And I couldn't talk. I'd go to say something and some sort of gibberish would come out. I had some numbness in my face, and they were talking to me and I couldn't respond, and it was just a really serious situation because we couldn't go down.
Right.
We had just climbed through this avalanche-prone slope. So yeah, it was an intense moment of acceptance that we weren't in control at that point.
Right. Wow. And now, if people want to, I know you're working on a movie on this right now, and where are people going to be able to see that? Where's it going to come out? What's going to be the promotion behind that?
Yeah, we've been making a film. It's, like I said, it's like a story that probably won't happen to us again for a while in our lifetime, so I'm working on this longer form feature doc that we're going to submit to Sundance and see what happens, and we're kind of holding it for that, because when you submit to them, it has to be an exclusive premiere.
Sure. So even that, you're taking it more mainstream, right? It's not going to be so much left in the outdoor world. You're going to bring it to Sundance, where people from Hollywood are going to come up and see it. It's going to be a much different thing than the usual kind of climbing movie we're used to. That way.
Yeah, it's great because we have we're also working with Sender Films to produce a version of the film for the Real Rock Tour, which is shorter, and it's really boils the story down to its essence of what happened in the climb. And then the Sundance version is totally non-linear in respect to the climbing. It's not this happened and that happened. It's more a story that arcs and just something about the human condition.
Right. And
it's a little more abstract. So we have a little bit of something for each audience, but yeah, we're excited to see how people respond to the longer cut, because we've been working on it for so long, and it'll be good to see from the core community to the folks at Sundance to see what happens.
Sure, because there's a much bigger story here than climbing, right? Because there's your amazing recovery, there's a huge story behind Conrad, and this being like his most important mountain that he's ever done or will do, right? In a certain way. Yeah,
and there's the backstories of everyone's families and the stress that puts on things, and really the greater overall story is embracing your true nature, and how sometimes things conspire against that, and it involves a lot of suffering and heartache, but in the end, if you don't do that and follow what your passion is, then it's going to eat you up more than if you never tried in the first place.
Yeah. Well, fantastic to see you. Fantastic that you're here and healthy and making this movie, and I'm excited to see it.
Thanks.
And I know a lot of people out there in the documentary.com world will be excited to see it. So great to see you. Thanks again.
Thanks for having me.
Yeah. And so next what we want to do is take you inside the Salt Palace. A lot of people want to see what's in here because it's brand new gear that no one's seen before. Companies are just viewing. And to do that, we sent our reporter Cameron Martindale into the Salt Palace to bring you the latest on new gear. Here he is.
Hey everybody, welcome to the Outdoor Retailer's showroom floor, where all the brands you know, plus many you've probably never heard of, exist here from the outdoor retailer world. We went around and exploring, looking for the coolest, the latest, the greatest. We got shoes, we got hydration systems, we have an insulated hammock, all kinds of good stuff up here in the gear section from the floor of OR. Check it out.
Hi, I'm Scott Criswell with Sport Hansa, and today we're looking at the Montane Minimus Smock. 5-ounce waterproof breathable jacket. Sits on to this. Smock, all you gotta do is pull it over, Everything's the last size, pull it down, and you got that fit. Fully waterproof and highly breathable.
Hi, I'm Lisa from Goal Zero, and I'm going to tell you about our new Sherpa 50. So this right here is our new Sherpa 50. It has just the battery pack right here, and it also has an inverter that you can click on or off. The reason you can take it off is because we do have the option to charge laptops directly. So actually just plug this in right here, and this goes directly into your laptop. We also have a 12-volt option, so you can plug in items like you would plug into your car, and you can also plug in a USB. It is rechargeable from the wall, or you can also recharge it from the guide, the Nomad 13. If you have any questions, you can contact us at goalzero.com.
Hi, this is Josh from Oboz Footwear, and here I want to talk to you today about our new Luna, going to be available in spring of 2013. Luna's a mesh upper with a welded synthetic leather cage. It's going to be nice and breathable, very soft and comfortable across the top of your foot. Like all Oboz footwear, the Luna is built with our B-Fit Deluxe footbed. More than just EVA, it's got an EVA resin in the heel, so it's got a very nice, well-defined arch, sculpted heel to it. And the Luna is built on our new Granite Peak outsole, so very trail-worthy outsole with a TPU shank underneath the EVA midsole, EVA up on top there. The Luna is available in spring of 2013.
Hi, John Sears here from Gregory Mountain Products at the Outdoor Retail Show. Here to talk to you really briefly about the new Contour and Cairn products. They come in 50, 60, and 70-liter capacities, and it's all about a new Trail Smart packing system we have. So camp, trail, and on the go for those quick access items while you're on the trail, the access to the camera, and then your tent and sleeping bag in the camp. The other features we're talking about are brand new harness technology and suspension system, ultra ventilated, ultra comfortable. Come check us out at gregorypacks.com.
Hi, I'm Scott Park with Deuter USA. I'm here to introduce the Ace T-Trail 28 SL. SL stands for Slimline, or it's more the women-specific feature. Notice the nice SL flower right here. Feature-wise, what we have here is a backpack that has great access. You have that front panel load, you do have a rain cover included, and also your traditional top load access. This pack is available at deuter.com. For more information, please check out the website, and thank you.
Hey folks, I'm Adam with Eagles Nest Outfitters. I'm here today to show you the Blaze Underquilt and the Igniter Top Quilt. Both of these items are separate, can be used with any hammock. The Underquilt is, both items are ducked down. The Underquilt is not load bearing, so you're not going to lose any loft. And the Top Quilt, the foot box will open up and it turns into a comforter, and it's got a nice draft collar. For more information, check out eaglesnestoutfittersinc.com.
How's it going? I'm Hunter Shoup with CamelBak, and today we're going to talk about the new lumbar reservoir that's highlighted in the Volt 13 LR. So we've expanded our LR offerings here by taking the 2-liter into a 3-liter. People wanted some more hydration capacity to go on those longer rides. So we chopped off the wings, increased the size a little bit to really highlight the whole space behind your lumbar. So for more information, check out the website at CamelBak.com, and thanks a lot.
Hi, I'm Brian Hall with Vasque Footwear, and outdoor retailer, summer retailer. This is the new Vasque Ventures for spring 2013. It's our new lightweight hiking shoe. It features a dual density midsole, a softer density that extends up to the heel and to the forefoot. Also absorbs impact with a softer EVA density, a firmer density that gives torsional rigidity to the shoe for hiking and off campers. It'll be available in January of 2013.
Hey, Jeff here with HydroPack, checking out the new Woolly Mammoth. Double walled with a Primo-Off insulation, keeping beverage cool and refreshing. If you need more information, go to www.hydropack.com. Thank you.
Thanks for showing us the latest gear, Cameron, and welcome back to the morning show. Our next guests are two of the co-founders of Anu Footwear. We have Jim Van Dyne and Jenny Franklin, and they're both longtime industry veterans. Jim worked at Reebok for a long time, and also was one of the people who got Keen to become massive, I guess I would say.
I was one of the founders of Keen, and I was president for the first 3 years of the brand.
Sure, yeah.
And I was also with Deckers throughout the 90s, so I was with Teva throughout the 1990s.
Absolutely, yeah. So Jim's the kind of man who makes a brand happen, especially when it comes to footwear. So tell us a bit about Anu and what's happening with Anu and your philosophy behind that.
Well, we started the brand, actually, my wife Jacqueline, who's in Hawaii right now, attending a wedding. She drew the good straw. After Jenny and Jacqueline and I all worked at Keen, Jenny and Jacqueline had an idea to start a brand, and then they brought me in right away, and we launched a brand that focuses initially and primarily on women.
Sure.
My experience in the athletic world way back when, in the 1980s, was, as you mentioned, with Reebok, and Reebok was the first athletic brand to focus primarily on women, not exclusively, but primarily on women, and they rose to tremendous success with that approach. The category being aerobics back then, but they spread it into a lot of other things. But their focus was always initially on women. Well, when we started this, Jacqueline and Jenny, two women, came up with the idea of, like, why don't we do that? No one's done that in the outdoors.
Right.
And so that was the initial premise. And with more of a feminine focus, automatically, along with that comes an increased focus on style.
Right.
Women like to look as good as they feel and feel as good as they look.
Absolutely,
so
sure.
We had the idea to really take performance footwear, but really blur the lines between performance and lifestyle. And I think that's really accomplished.
Yeah.
So maybe ask you, Jenny, then, so what is a women's brand, and how does that translate to consumers out there? How do they know they're going to relate to something that's a women's brand?
You look at the shelf, and especially in the outdoor, in a sea of brown, you have a purple boot that pops off the wall, and the purple boot has all the performance features that all the other companies do that sort of stand for performance, but it's purple, and it's a higher top, so there's an urban sensibility to it. So there's a little bit more of a fashion twist to it. So again, it performs when you're on the mountain, but you look good in the coffee shop too.
Sure. Now, do you think that there's a way that the outdoor industry isn't really speaking to women in the best way, that you guys have found, a better way to message that way, a better way to speak to, kind of women who are out here watching the show on backcountry.com or someone like that?
I think it's starting to evolve, and it's starting to change for sure. People are more focused on women and the needs and how women like to look. So it's definitely evolving for sure. We're not the only ones that are doing it.
Sure.
Right. I would prefer not to comment on what other people are doing.
Sure. Yeah.
Whether they're doing it well or doing it poorly. We focus, and that's just not for this camera, this interview. We don't really focus on what other brands do. We're pretty busy focusing on what we need to do. But a lot of our choices are choices that are driven by the 2 votes always outvote 1, so we've got 2 women against 1 man on most major decisions, and that's the way it swings. That's kind of joking, but seriously, we focus on women's issues and women's styling. Besides women's styling, we focus on women's issues and things that are important to them. So, for example, we partnered with the Breast Cancer Fund almost from the very start, along with but not strictly feminine issues. And of course, breast cancer is not just a woman's issue; it affects the whole family. But things like that, also the Conservation Alliance. So when we also formed the company, a driving force for us was to be a socially responsible company. And we're proud of the fact that even though we're still a very young, very small brand, we had contributed over $250,000 to the Breast Cancer Fund and the Conservation Alliance within the first 3 years of our existence. That's noteworthy because we weren't even profitable yet.
Right.
So we weren't giving ourselves raises or bonuses. We were contributing to causes that we felt were very worthwhile, and that was part of our charter right from the start, that that we were going to make a difference, and we wanted to develop a company that demonstrated that business could be part of the solution, not part of the problems in the world.
Sure. And how do you think? I mean, I've seen you do it before with with Reebok, with Teva, with Keen. How do you let people out here know that this message is really authentic and not that it's just marketing? A lot of brands might talk about it, but and you guys are doing it. That's great. But how do you get that out there? How do you let people know that what you're doing is real? And you've done it before, so I know you can do it.
Yeah. It's not marketing because we do it because we want to do it.
Right.
We don't do it so that we can hang a sign up there saying this is what we do. So it'd be wrong to say we don't market it because I just talked to you about it.
Sure, yeah.
So yeah, certainly we do, but it's not a major focus. It's just something that is part of who we are. The authenticity in the brand, I think, comes from the fact that we believe in what we do. We believe in the products. We've said one of the things, for example, on a product basis, we won't put things on the shoe that make it look like it does something that it doesn't.
Right.
So if we employ a technology, it's a technology like we have a technology called momentum that takes different forms depending upon the shoe and the activity involved. But it's about positioning the giving good heel support, keeping the foot in a very neutral position, and allowing the natural foot motion. That technology was vetted by numerous biomechanists around the country. In fact, a couple of the premier footwear biomechanists in the country worked with us on that system. So we didn't want to put a piece of hardware on the shoe saying it did something unless we could prove that it really did something. So I think we just try to be authentic in all things. What we say, what we do, what we make.
And you have a lot of authenticity when it comes to running, right? Because you were actually, were you on the Olympic team, or you were?
I was not on the Olympic
team. But you were
close.
One of your former employees told me you like to roller skate a lot. I don't know what that was about, but
no, skateboard.
Oh, skateboard. Oh, okay, all right.
Skateboard.
But you were a runner. You were a professional runner.
I was an amateur back in the 70s, but I was an alternate on the national cross-country team.
Sure. Okay.
That competed in the World Championships in Italy. So I was this close.
Well, great. It was fantastic to talk to you guys. Thanks for taking the time to come on the show. And it's always great to talk to people who are making something happen for real, because that seems to be what the industry is about. So.
And that's a great observation, Doug, because that's why I gravitated to the outdoor industry from the athletic industry, which what I was in the 80s, and in the early 90s, I eagerly joined Deckers Outdoor, which also has UGG and Teva and still does. And I joined the company when we first acquired UGG. But it was the outdoor industry that drew me in because of that authenticity.
Sure. Yeah.
Because people are real. Because it's fun. And because I love the outdoors. So this was natural.
Well, thanks again, guys.
Thank you, Doug.
And what you just said leads real well into what we're coming up to next. We've got two guests coming up next, Brad Ludden with First Descents, and Brady Robinson from the Access Fund and Real Rock Film Tour. But before that, we want to show you guys someone who is very authentic in the outdoor industry. We have a little segment called What Happened to the Hippies, and we found one of them at the outdoor demo. Here he is.
So the real thing we want to know is there anything more hippie than the hacky sack?
Well, I don't know, but a while ago my daughter had to make a school project in 3rd grade in crochet and doily, and somehow it went flying across my room one night. We thought of hacky sacks, actually, so that's where they come from, Guatemala.
So they come from Guatemala?
Yeah.
Is there anything more hippie than that?
Well, there's a lot of hippies down there, right around the lake. You know, the lake's rising too, they got hit on. But yeah, these are cool. They're all handmade, fair trade, good story. Some dude came by earlier and tossed this on the booth. Yeah, they're cool. They have their place, but hard plastic discs hurt. You know,
that's right.
Just definitely don't hurt inside, outside, whatever.
And
Stuff it in your pack.
Do you think there's still a place for hippie sports in the outdoor industry?
Sure, I can see a bunch of hippies running around with this, man.
But no, you also told me that you don't want to market yourself as a hippie company.
We don't, man. We don't too much. I mean, obviously, all sorts of people like it. But yeah, a lot of ex-hippies love getting it for their kids. You know what I'm saying?
Has the hippie evolved? Is the hippie a hipster now? Is the hippie kind of a multitasker? What is the hippie these days?
Dude, I don't really know what hipster is exactly, but what I think is down in Charlotte, I don't know, man. I don't think hipsters are anything like hippies. What's up, man? I just had to hit that dude. I don't know. Aren't hipsters kind of like the people that do like piercings, tattoos?
But they can still enjoy one of these discs, so they're not athletes.
They can. I mean, everybody likes these things, but some people like them a lot more. You know, I think the people who like music festivals, ultimate frisbee, whatever, that sort of thing. Kids, we got this new one here coming out soon. It lights up. It won't look too good in the light. You can see it in the dark. But these are also going to be fun. And yeah, this was inspired at Bonnaroo actually, because as much as the Bonnaroo folks like this, which they did. They like light up stuff more. It doesn't matter what it is. So, light up pocket disc is cool. Call it a Luna disc. It's not gonna hurt anybody's head either. So that's cool. Exactly. I think hippies like peaceful products. This is peaceful. We are trying to make it out of hemp, you know? Cotton, better than plastic, I think, but it's certainly not good. And hemp's awesome, right? So, yeah, that's one of the goals. Got to get a lot of that from China. That's a long, boring story. We're talking about hippies, right? These are cool. These are new. Got waterproof lining, so it's sort of like modern, updated hippie, or modern hippies, right? The snowboarders probably stick that in their little breast pocket.
Exactly.
Keep their stuff dry.
And is it essential if you're selling hippie products to wear sunglasses?
To what?
To wear sunglasses.
What about it?
Is it essential to wear them? If you're...
Yeah, pretty much, right?
And if anyone wants to find this product, where can we get it?
Pocketdisc.com, or where are you guys out of? Colorado?
Yes.
Into the Wind Kites.
Oh, absolutely.
Pearl Street, right? Yeah. Those guys are rocking.
Absolutely. Awesome.
Yeah.
Well done.
Thank you.
So there is, in fact, some authenticity left in the outdoor industry. Our next guest is a guy I've known for a long time. Brad Ludden is a professional kayaker, but on an even deeper level, he founded a program called First Descents with the mission of giving kids with cancer hope by getting them into outdoor sports. I'll let Brad tell you a little more about what First Descents is.
Yeah, so we started First Descents back in 2001, and it started with just 1 week, 15 young adults with cancer, and we took them kayaking, and that's really, you know, that's my background as a kayak athlete, and after seeing my aunt go through cancer, I wanted to try to find a way to give something back to that community, and that was the answer for me. Since then, we've served, almost 2,000 participants through the program. This year alone, we'll serve 700 over the course of 50 different programs around the world. We've added surfing, mountaineering, rock climbing, all sorts of sports, and really using these outdoor challenges as ways to restore a lot of the psychosocial damage that's associated with a diagnosis as a young adult. So things like self-confidence, self-esteem, issues with alienation, isolation, anxiety, depression, feelings of shame, trying to adjust their body image, things like that. It's been really fascinating. You know, when we first started it was more just like I thought it would be a nice gift, and now here we are 12 years later. We partnered with Stanford's lead behavioral scientist, and he's implemented a quantitative study to measure the impact of the program. So it's actually becoming legitimate, recognized therapy. And I guess we could argue that any of us, you know, in the outdoors, we're so drawn to them, whether we know it or not, on some level, because it does give us therapy. You know, it is our therapy. And so really, it's no surprise, but it's cool to see that legitimacy coming to the program.
And these kids, some of them have never been in a kayak before, never been on a surfboard before, never climbed before, right?
I would say the majority haven't really spent any time in the outdoors. And so that in itself is really cool, to get someone in the kayak for the first time, you know, regardless of a diagnosis. Most of our participants come to us from urban areas, New York, LA, Texas, I'd say the whole state's urban, things like that. I don't spend much time there, but Dallas is big. But you know, so just to get them out into the outdoors, whether that's, you know, sitting in the lineup outside the break or floating down the river, you know, up on a rock wall, like that in itself is half of it.
Right.
We young adults are 72,000 are diagnosed in the U.S. each year, as compared to about 10,000 kids, which is really interesting. They get very little attention. They've seen almost a 0% increase in their cure rates in the last 35 years. As opposed to 80% with peds. So really interesting demographic that needs a ton of support but gets very little. So these programs are hugely necessary.
Sure, as you're saying, I mean, being a teenager, being a young adult is hard anyway, right? And they're going through that as well as having cancer on top of it.
We can all probably relate to that on some level, like dating, starting a family, starting a job, getting out of debt, getting through college. These things are all very specific to the young adult demographic, and they're huge challenges in and of themselves. And you throw cancer in there, and it just derails everything. You move back in with your parents. A lot of them are underinsured, and cancer's not cheap. So you know, they find themselves going from college debt to cancer debt, which is, you know, potentially millions of dollars, and they're isolated from their peer group. They're no longer out socializing and evolving as a young adult. They kind of stop right there. And so it's our job to use these adventures to get them back into that life, to get them back into, you know, that trajectory.
Are there any, you know, stories that really stand out for you? Any kids you really remember who had an amazing, you know, some moments, or maybe ones recently? Have you seen?
Yeah, you know, there have been a lot. There was actually a young man who lived here in Salt Lake who came to our program 4 or 5 years ago now. For the first time, and he went up through the program. We have sort of a tiered program structure, and he kind of climbed the ranks of the program, became a really proficient kayaker, kind of became family. Started hanging out with him, going on river trips with him, you know, like kind of a cool evolution. When he came to the program, we found out recently, his parents were telling us that he was in a pretty bad way emotionally, you know, mentally. He came to the program, really turned him around. He went home, he started his own nonprofit to raise money for Cure Search and First Descents. And in the course of the past 5 years, they've raised hundreds of thousands of dollars through that charity, which is really cool to see. Unfortunately, last year he passed away, and so you know, that whole thing was just it's really hard to. That's, I guess, the biggest downside of all of this, is that you know, you become really close friends with some of these guys, and you know, then you see the real downside of cancer.
And the younger you are, a lot of times the harder it is to survive, because your cells are still...
Yeah, you know, and they treat young adults very differently oftentimes, and they'll treat adults or children just because young adults are hardy, you know, and so they'll throw the kitchen sink at them. And so like this guy, and he went through more than just about anyone I've ever seen with cancer. 2 transplants, countless rounds of chemo. I mean, they took him to the edge and back several times, and you know, it's just like I think for him it got to the point where he was just like, man, this isn't a way to live, you know. So it was really challenging to go through that with him, but I think I just grew to appreciate what we're doing and the people we serve that much more because of it.
Well, he had those moments on the water with you, or had those moments of living.
His parents spoke at a fundraiser for us recently, and it was cool to hear what they said about it. You know, I mean, cancer is a pretty dark disease, and they felt very strongly, and I'd like to agree that First Descents brought a really kind of bright light into his life. because of cancer. And so, you know, it was it's kind of a double-edged sword there, but there was an upside to it. And you know, selfishly, I was really glad to have met him.
Now, what can people out there do to either help First Descents, do something in the community? What can viewers of the show do?
Man, you know, we need all sorts of help. I think one of the biggest things is spread the word. You know, when young adults are diagnosed, a lot of times they don't know what to do, and we don't know how to react. The best thing you can do is just keep being normal. You know, they're still themselves.
Right.
This is not who they are; it's what's happened to them. And tell them about First Descents. You know, tell them about these resources, because that in itself pulls them out of that isolation a bit. And we, you know, I think we could probably come together and think of a lot of friends of ours who are diagnosed or have been diagnosed. And then, man, we got to pay for these things.
Right.
You know, they're free of charge. They always have been. They always will be. But you know, it's expensive to put the programs on. And you know, there's a Team FD, Team First Descents, on our website. You can sign up for any challenge. If you're running a marathon, climbing a peak, you know, paddling, anything. Set up a challenge, set up a fundraising goal, and ask your community to support you in that challenge, and that money will make someone else's adventure at First Descents possible. You know, they really need it. We have hundreds of people on a waiting list to get into this program right now, and the only reason they're not in there is because we can't afford to put them in.
Oh, wow. And people want to do that can go to your website, which is firstdescents.org.
That's the one, yeah.
Firstdescents.org,
yep.
Yeah. Two other things I heard that you're doing for First Descents, two new things, is something called First Descents Mobile.
Yeah.
And also there's a documentary movie coming out about what you've been doing. So
yeah, we just partnered with Sirac, a pretty well-known film, you know, company based out of Boulder, and they made a beautiful documentary about our programs. It's been showing at some film festivals, and will be, you know, there'll be a link up sooner than later on that, and it gives really great insight, you know, both into obviously First Descents, but I think even almost more importantly into young adult cancer. It's a very personal view of what happens to a young adult when they're diagnosed, and how that affects their families and their lives. So that's cool. That's coming out.
And where will people be able to see that?
We'll have that link up on our website pretty soon.
Okay, great.
So just keep going to the website. And every time you go, donate. Shameless. It's early.
I did get to donate by dunking the Outdoor Retailer Show Director yesterday. So
You dunked Kenji, and that's
right.
a great donation. A lot of people dunked Kenji. I was surprised. Cool. Like, man, made a lot of people angry around here.
We'll have Kenji tomorrow.
We will have Kenji on the show tomorrow. We'll talk to him about how it felt to get dunked, making money for First Descents. But
it was a good cause. And then FD Mobile is it's kind of been my dream realized. You know, we talk about adventure and we talk about this culture, and I wanted to live it. You know, and what dirtbag doesn't love a sportsmobile? So I was like, we secured some funding, and we encourage our staff to take these adventures in FD Mobile, and it's literally a mobile office where our staff and our participants and our board members get in this thing for a week or 2 weeks at a time and take it on some adventure, but along the way they stop at medical centers, they spread the word, they go to events, and really try to, you know, as I said, that young adult population is very fragmented. So it's a way for us to kind of get out and meet the people that talk to the young adults with cancer, meet the young adults with cancer, and spread the word about First Descents, and all the while kind of live our culture.
Sure.
So that's parked right front and center at OR right now. I got to go feed the meter, actually.
Well, on that note, awesome to see you as always.
Yeah, always
Thanks,
a pleasure.
Fred.
Thanks, Doug.
And we're going to have a little word from Columbia here. And when we come back, we're going to be talking to Brady Robinson, who's the executive director of the Access Fund, which keeps climbing areas open for you guys to go and climb at, and is also working with the Real Rock Film Tour. Talk to you soon. Hey, and welcome back. Our guest now is Brady Robinson, who is the Executive Director of the Access Fund, and he's been working with the Real Rock Film Tour. They've been helping him raise money. And I think we'll start by just asking Brady, what is the Access Fund and what do you do?
The Access Fund is the national advocacy organization for climbers, and we keep climbing areas open in the United States. We work on public land issues and private land issues, so if a climbing area is threatened on public land, we've got a lobbying, education, policy arm, so I'll suit up and go to Washington, D.C. sometimes and talk to the heads of agencies, Congress. So we've got this whole policy wing. We've got an acquisitions and land conservation wing, so we raised well over $1 million in the last few years. We've got this big revolving fund so we can loan money to local climbing organizations to buy climbing areas. And so we loan the money out, the local organization buys the area, we help them fundraise, we pull the money back into the fund, and we go around and do it again. So we've got acquisitions wing and...
Sure. Well, I was going to say, so one of the big things you do is like you work with someone's local climbing group or just even dirtbags who just like to climb at a place. You might help them get organized so they can save their...
That's right. We try to help dirtbags transition into the kind of
wearing suits, right?
responsible volunteers who can and honestly, a lot of what we do is just provide a little bit of structure and belief. Like, climbers can get together and organize and do a lot of things, and sometimes it doesn't even occur to people that they could buy a climbing area.
Sure.
And so we'll show up and say, hey, we've got a land conservation expert, we've got the capital that we'll loan to you at a very low rate, you can do this, let's put a deal together. And so this new program of ours has really been able to kind of supercharge acquisitions for our community. The last project that we did, we just partnered with the American Alpine Club and bought the Waco Rock Ranch.
Oh, wow.
So for people who are boulderers, this was the historic training center that Todd Skinner, way back in the day in the 90s, Todd Skinner and all of his elite friends would go down there and eat protein shakes and just crush. And eventually a guy by the name of Rob Rice bought the Rock Ranch, and it became this hub, this social hub, and also this hub of the relationship between the climbing community and Waco Tank State Park. So it's this really important relationship for continuing climbing access as well. And for various reasons, Rob just wasn't in a position to continue managing the ranch. We got a tip and found out that the ranch was for sale. We took a look at the deal. We reached out to the American Alpine Club and said, hey, we can put this deal together. We can put together the funding. It's your mission to run facilities for climbers. It's our mission to keep climbing areas open. This is perfect for both of us. So we entered into an agreement, and over the course of a year, we went under contract, bought the thing, and handed it over to the Alpine Club, and they're going to run it now into perpetuity. So it's awesome. And so those are the sorts of projects that this program of ours has made possible.
Sure.
And then one other program, if I may, that's pretty new is the Access Fund Conservation Team. We partnered with Jeep. And we've got 2 professional trail builders who are out on the road 10 months out of the year in a Jeep, driving around, and they go into local areas, assess the needs. They might harden landing areas for boulder problems. They might put in a stone staircase. They're really good at stonework. And so the idea of this program is to go around and help locals take care of the places that they love and they climb, and kind of raise the bar in terms of what stewardship projects look like in our community. There's some climbing areas that are really well taken care of, and there's some that are loved but need a little bit of attention. They're getting kind of hammered.
Sure.
And so this program is to try to, over the course of a number of years, sort of raise the stewardship bar at climbing areas across the country.
And I mean, I think the biggest thing I'm hearing from you is the solution. When you guys are buying land, is that private land you're buying, or is it actually public land?
No, it's public land is tricky to buy. It's not impossible, but it's pretty tricky. No, this is private land.
So in a certain way, it's interesting where you guys are doing. We've got a bunch of socialist, dirtbag, tree-hugging climbers, and you actually have a pretty conservative solution, which is to get together and buy land and have it just be private land for climbers.
Well. I mean, there's what you're getting at is what we would call the takeout strategy or the long-term strategy. I mean, a lot of times climbing areas that are privately owned are just kept open because the landowner, for whatever reason, maybe they're a climber, Maybe they just like to see climbers. Maybe they're just nice people. They keep it open.
Right.
But then they either hit on financial hardship or something in their life changes. And a lot of times these are unpredictable events.
Right.
And so let's say somebody wants to keep it open for climbers, and then it goes into an estate and their 4 kids are fighting over the property and they want to sell it.
Okay.
So the first thing we want to do in that case is secure the property. So we run in with some capital and say, boom, put down basically secure it and buy it, or conserve it in some other way. And then once you do that, then you think about the long-term strategy. I mean, we don't particularly want to own and manage rock climbing areas all across the country. We're a relatively small nonprofit based in Boulder, Colorado. We're a little bit ways away from being able to do that. So sometimes we'll hand it over to another land trust. We might hand it over to a local or a state or even the federal government.
Right.
And it depends on the property, but we've certainly done that in the past. And sometimes we're able to sell properties to the federal government and get some of our capital back that way.
Interesting. That seems like a win-win situation all around.
It is. There are some people who are a little bit skeptical of that and say, well, if you sell it back to the Forest Service and BLM, well, they close it. And so that we always have to assess, and oftentimes there isn't a perfect solution. And sometimes we do have to hold the areas ourselves.
Interesting. So what about people out here, backcountry.com, watching this on Facebook? How can they get involved with Access Fund? How can they save their climbing areas? How can they make sure that public land stays open to climbing?
Yeah. Well, one of the most important things is to join the Access Fund. Membership is $35. So supporting your national organization, you should definitely, if there's climbing areas around you, figure out the locals. There might be a local climbing organization. There may be 1 or 2 people who volunteer and help. So showing up for volunteer events and standing up and being counted as part of the climbing community in your area, and understanding that this isn't a right. We don't; these lands aren't going to necessarily be there always for us. With our activities and with our sport comes some responsibility. And I think if we as the climbing community can feel that responsibility, it's better for the land and it's better for us because we're going to continue to keep areas open.
Yeah. And now, one last thing. You've been working in conjunction with the Real Rock Film Tour.
Yeah.
Tell us a bit about that. I mean, maybe what the film tour is, and then how you guys have been working with them.
So Real Rock, this year is Real Rock 7, and it's one of the greatest climbing film tours in the country. I personally am always totally stoked to see what's been going on. I mean, there's a lot of times there's new footage, but usually there's like some, whatever the sickness that Chris Sharma's working on this year usually makes it into the film. So that's pretty awesome. And so there's a little preview. Some of the films aren't completely finished yet. We're gonna have a little sneak peek tonight, and then the tour is gonna launch later this year. And we've had a long partnership with Sender Films and Big Up, and they've been really supportive of the Access Fund, and so we thank them. And I just tell your viewers to check out Real Rock Tour online and see when the tour is going to come in an area near you.
And they'll be able to see some previews there after tomorrow or soon, right?
Yeah, I think there's probably a trailer up. I haven't been there.
Not yet,
but
no, yet,
there isn't one up yet. Well, stay tuned. And it's going to be sick.
Climbers, so.
I mean, you all saw Renan. I mean, his film is going to be part of that. And I mean, the story of his injury and the recovery and the way they depict it in the film is totally sick. I mean, it's one of the, I don't know if this is hyperbole, I think it's one of the great mountaineering stories of our time.
Sure.
Is his recovery back from nearly dying.
Yeah.
And then going and doing one of the sickest routes that's been done.
Never done,
has defeated, dozens of teams over the years. So anyway, I'm totally stoked.
Right. As am I. And you guys should check it out too. Thanks again for being here. That's it for today. Tomorrow we're going to have get some more into some of these issues. We're going to have show director Kenji Hartunian is going to be here. He's going to be talking about diversity in the outdoors. And we're also going to have Malcolm Daly, who worked at Trango for a long time, big time climber, probably know. And he's going to be talking about what's going on right now in public land with states like Utah wanting to take over federal land and possibly close and sell it. And he'd like to create a national monument that'll stop that from happening. So check us out tomorrow, and look forward to seeing you. And we'd also like to thank our sponsor, Columbia, for making this happen, as well as backcountry.com. And a big call out to the Solomon store at City Creek, brand new store down here in Salt Lake City, for hosting us the past 2 days. We'll see you tomorrow morning at 8 a.m. Thanks a lot. Bye.